Hi guys, welcome back to Careyberry. So today it is the 18th of December and it is my birthday. Obviously coronavirus means there's not a lot to do on your birthday. So today's a really chill day. My partner and his brother are both working, so I'm gonna pretty much stay in my room all day and read. But this is a video that I've wanted to make for like a while now, well, more so recently because I've been seeing other people make them, and also I've been seeing more books. So far in 2020 I have read 90, hold on, let's get out my thing. Yeah, so far in 2020 I have read 96 books, which is absolutely crazy because I didn't think I'd read that much. I set my Goodreads goal at the start of the year as 15 because I thought that was realistic. Obviously I didn't realise a global pandemic would hit and I'd reinvigorate my love of reading, because normally I would start to love reading again over the summer when I've got less to do for university. So every summer I go through this phase where I read a lot, but this year that phase started in February and continued all the way through, so it's a bit different. But there are lots of books that I am looking forward to coming out in 2021. So I figured I would make a video about my most anticipated releases because I think a lot of people will probably have the same ones, but there are some that I am genuinely really excited for and some that I'm just curious about. So yeah, I'm gonna try and do them in chronological order as well, but who knows. I mean, as well, there's gonna be so many releases that I don't know about yet, and then I hear about after I've filmed this video and I'm like, I'm so excited for this. First of all as well, so my boyfriend woke me up this morning with a bacon butty and a present. So because he's working all day, he figured that he would give me a book as a present this morning so that I could have something to do all day. So he's given me Hamnet to read by Maggie O'Farrell, and I am really excited to read this. It's just so pretty as well. And the naked cover is also gorgeous and matches my lipstick. So that is what I will be doing for the rest of the day, and I think that my fairy loot should arrive soon as well, so fingers crossed that'll be a nice birthday present. So yeah, let's get into this before I actually forget. Okay, so the first book that I'm kind of excited for and a bit curious about is Nick by Michael Farris Smith. So that comes out on January 5th and it's an unofficial prequel to The Great Gatsby. Now, I read The Great Gatsby in October. I read it sometime recently, and I really liked it. But at the same time it's not what I expected. So The Great Gatsby is such a small book, and I loved the writing. I mean, there's so many famous quotes, but yeah, I am intrigued to see how a prequel is going to work, especially because it's not by F. Scott Fitzgerald. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I honestly don't know what to say about it. Like, I'm intrigued as to how it will turn out and to what of Nick it will focus on. It's going to focus on Nick's life in the war and his return home, and a journey across like Europe and America. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't want it to be longer than Gatsby though. I think that would be not great, and I'm really intrigued to know what people who really like Gatsby are gonna say about it, because I think that would be really interesting, like how it fits into that, and yeah, I'm intrigued. The next one also comes out on the 5th of January, and that is Law by Alexandra Bracken. So this is probably not that surprising because I love Greek mythology, but Law is about, well, I don't know too much of what it's about. Like with all of these releases, I'm trying not to spoil myself too much. But Law is about, I think the Greek gods have, like, because of a rebellion, they're sent down to Earth every 7 years, and it's kind of like a bit Hunger Games-y. If one of the gods that's on Earth, if you kill them, you gain their power and like immortality. So their bloodlines are trying to kill them when they're human again. So yeah, I think that one will actually be really interesting. I'm really intrigued by it. So yeah, I'm very excited. But that is absolutely not a surprise because I love Greek mythology and retellings, and this sounds really interesting. Like it's got those, like, that kind of almost dystopian element, that like modern day element that draws the Greek gods into today. It's still got the elements of the gods, and I'm just really intrigued to see how it will turn out. The next one comes out on February 9th, and that is The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna. This is a YA fantasy, I think. In this village, if you have gold blood, it shows that it's a sign of impurity in you, and when you turn, I think it's 16, yeah, once you come of age, they, I think, cut you to show your blood, and the main character, I think it says on the blurb, like, she finds out that she has gold blood, and I think she's offered a choice whether to like die or fight an emperor. Could be wrong. Oh yeah, so she's offered the choice where she can either stay in the village and accept the fate of having gold blood, which is worse than death, or she can fight for the emperor with other girls like her with the gold blood because they've got some rare abilities that can save the kingdom. So it sounds really interesting. I've heard a lot of people rave about this one. Like, I keep seeing it pop up, so although I don't know too much about it, I kind of trust other people's reviews on it, because I know it sounds really good. Okay, so the next one comes out on March the 2nd, and that is The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. So in this story, it's a historical fiction kind of thing where there's this woman who runs an apothecary, and I think women can come to her and buy this poison for men, but it can't be used on women, is like one of the rules, and then all of the men that this poison has killed have to be written down in a book. So like it's to help women escaping like abusive relationships and like revenge against men. It sounds really interesting. I'm really excited to see, like, it looks like it could be really beautiful. Like, that sounds really bad because I'm basically judging it off the cover, but you know, like when you see a cover and you're like, that's gonna be a beautifully written story. That's just the vibe I get from The Lost Apothecary. So I'm hoping it lives up to that. But yeah, I am quite excited for that. I think it's going to be a really good one, and I'm really excited for it to come out. Then there is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert, which comes out on the 9th of March. And that is obviously the 3rd instalment of the Brown Sister series, which focuses on Eve, the kind of immature Brown sister. Again, I haven't really looked too much into it because, like, I know Eve's character from reading Chloe Brown and Danny Brown, but I don't want to kind of go too much into it. I'd like to kind of go into it as if I'm just continuing the series without having looked at it. But I think it centres at first on a wedding, like the wedding of her friend, and I think that was mentioned in Danny Brown. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one. I think that Talia Hibbert's writing is really good, and it's just easy, like it's easy to read. The relationships that she writes about are like well written, they're kind of healthy, so I'm interested to see how Eve Brown goes. I was going through like releases and now I can't remember what any of them are about, and it's really bad. So the next one is The Memory Collectors by Kim Neville, and that comes out on March the 16th. So The Memory Collectors is about this woman who, like, if she holds an object, she can feel the emotions behind it. So, I'm looking for an object. Like, so if she was to hold my reading journal, she would like feel the emotions that I felt while I've been writing in it, or like the memories kind of attached, I think. And she essentially starts collecting these objects with all of these memories attached, and it's really interesting. I think, like, I don't know too much of the plot beyond that, but I imagine it's less plot focused and more like descriptive and imagery and emotive, again, like I think The Lost Apothecary will be, although I think The Lost Apothecary has more of a plot. Obviously I don't know because I haven't read them, but I think The Memory Collector could be really interesting, and I really hope it's beautifully written, because I'm just getting that vibe from it. Okay, so the next one I'm excited for is Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart, and that is out April 20th, and it's essentially, it's a YA Jamaican inspired fantasy about two witches, I think, and one is the daughter of a queen, and I think her mum wants her to die so that she can gain power, maybe. But the two witches, unlikely friends, I think they try and team up to maybe defeat the queen. Oh yeah, so they team up to defeat a what's it called, mutual threat. So I'm assuming that is the queen, but I could be wrong. But it sounds really interesting, and I know like so many people are like hyping it up, so I am excited to find out more. Yeah, I know so many people like have been chatting about it and raving about it, so I am really excited to see if it lives up to the hype. I feel like it will though. Okay, so the next one is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, which is out on May the 4th. So I really like Andy Weir's writing. So in my third year of uni, I was chair of the Philosophy Society, and we watched The Martian as part of one of our kind of society nights where we'd chat about it afterwards and debate the ethics. And the film, oh my god, so I hadn't read the book, but the film, my palms were sweating so much because I was so nervous. Like, it was such a tense film, but immediately when we watched it, I bought the book because I was like, I really like this. And then when I was reading the book, I loved the way that it was written. I thought that he captured Mark Watney's character really well. So The Martian is about Mark Watney, who is an astronaut with a specific focus on botanical life. And he goes up as part of a team. They're on Mars, but then there's a kind of Mars thunderstorm while they're there and they need to leave. So they go out and go to the ship, but on the way he gets impaled by a like rod of something, and then it cuts out like his signal, so the rest of the crew think he's dead, so they leave because they can't get him. Like if they don't go, they will also all die, but then he isn't dead, and it's just cut out his communication signal, but because it's stayed in, it's sealed his oxygen. But it's a really, really good book and a really good movie. And yeah, I just really loved it, even though like I'm not a massive sci-fi person, to be honest. I'm more into fantasy than sci-fi, but I just loved it. I thought it was really fun and his character was brilliant. So I am excited for Project Hail Mary, which is also by him, and it's a lone astronaut must save the Earth from disaster. So that kind of like, I'm going to focus on one character and they're going to have to save the world. Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and the Earth itself will perish. But okay. So, except he doesn't know any of that because he's been asleep for a really long time. He wakes up, he doesn't know who he is, he can't remember what he's there for. So he's got to remember all of this like important stuff because otherwise everyone's gonna die. So again, it sounds like it's gonna be a really, really good book, and like tense and like kind of thing. So I'm quite excited for that. Now, if you're clued up on your new releases and chronology of them, then you'll probably be unsurprised by my next most anticipated release. So that is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which comes out on May the 25th. This year I got massively into Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think I've read all of her books now. Maybe. I started off with Daisy Jones and the Six. That was the first book I read and I adored it. And then I moved on to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I also adored. And then I've been steadily working my way through her backlog, and I think I might have read them all, but there might be one left. Not sure. But if there is, then I'm probably going to finish that before the end of the year. Just so that I can say I've read them all in a year. But Malibu Rising is like the newest Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and it also is in the same kind of world as Daisy Jones and the Six and Evelyn Hugo, because it focuses on one of the side characters from Evelyn Hugo, who is also referenced in Daisy Jones and the Six. And this book focuses on 4 really famous siblings who throw a party. I think it's in the 80s. Yeah, in the 80s they throw this really big party, and it's set over the course of 24 hours, this story. So I'm really intrigued. I think it's gonna be really interesting, but I think that it's kind of set in a way that reminds me of like Lucy Foley's The Guest List and The Hunting Party, because it's set over this short period of time and it focuses on 4 siblings, so I'm assuming we're going to have a lot of different points of view. But yeah, I am really excited for it. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing, so yeah, I am super excited, but I'm also quite nervous because when I've been reading her backlog, I haven't liked those books as much as I liked Daisy Jones and Evelyn Hugo, so I feel like I am hyping myself up when maybe I won't like it as much. And I know that throughout the book community loads of people have really hyped up Taylor Jenkins Reid based on Daisy Jones and Evelyn Hugo, but I'm kind of nervous that if it's not as good, like, yeah, I just won't want to read her again. I think I will, because I do really like Daisy Jones and Evelyn Hugo, so I am excited for her future writing. Like, you can tell once you read her older stories how her writing has changed and evolved, and how her storytelling has gotten better. So I am really excited to see what is in store for Malibu Rising, and I really want it. I want it. Just give it to me now, please. I want it so bad. I just want it now. I want to see what it is. Okay, so next we have One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, and that is out on June the 1st. So I've seen a lot of really good reviews for this. I didn't like Red, White and Royal Blue as much as I thought I would, but I'm hoping that I like One Last Stop better. So One Last Stop is about two girls who fall in love on the train in New York. I think one of them has just moved there and one of them is like a proper New Yorker. And I don't know anything about it other than that, but I want to keep it that way. So yeah, I think it will be a really cute like romance story. So I'm quite excited for it. But yeah, I think it'd be nice. Okay, and then finally we have The Women of Troy by Pat Barker, which comes out on August the 26th, and I am so excited for this. So this, I think, is the sequel to The Silence of the Girls, because again it focuses on Briseis and all, I think, the other women in Troy as well at the time. So it's going to be kind of like Natalie Haynes' A Thousand Ships, and the cover art also looks really good. It's very reminiscent of The Silence of the Girls, so I am incredibly excited for this. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it because the title is pretty, like, does what it says on the tin kind of thing. It's The Women of Troy, you know. But yeah, I am super excited, and I really hope that it's good. But yeah, it's kind of about what happens to the women after the War of Troy ends. So I think it'll pick up where The Silence of the Girls left off. So I'm definitely going to have to reread that beforehand, just so I can get myself back in that mind and back into Pat Barker's writing. But yeah, I am so excited for this because I love me some Greek mythology. Okay, yeah, oh, so excited for all of these books. I think that is all of the releases that I'm most excited for at the moment. Obviously by like a couple of months into 2021 that'll change, because at the moment I am focusing more on the books that I have at the moment and the books that are out that I want, but I think in the new year when I'm seeing more people being like, oh, this comes out, I'll be like, wow, why didn't I know about that before? So yeah, that I am very excited for these. So yeah, I haven't really done a good job explaining what any of them are about. I've been like looking on Goodreads at the same time, but at the same time, like, you know, I think it's different reading a blurb on a book like in person than reading a blurb on Goodreads, and I have no idea why, but I genuinely think it's different. Because if I do it on Goodreads, for some reason I always feel like I'm spoiling myself for the book, whereas like if I have the physical book and I'm reading the blurb, then I don't feel like that. I feel like that's honestly such a weird thing to say, but again, I really feel like that is true. So I've been trying not to read too much of what they're about on Goodreads because I feel like I'm spoiling myself for the actual book. But yeah, those are my most anticipated releases. Are there any that you're really excited for? Please let me know about them in the comments. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're new here. I am hoping to get to 100 before the end of the year. I don't know if I'll actually do it, but fingers crossed. And I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye guys.